Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. And together, as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating guest. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi everyone, it's a sunny day for Melbourne. I'm Mohammad Shuaib. I really appreciate your invitation, Gertrude, into the Diversity Connector. As I said, I'm Mohammad Shuaib. I'm based in Melbourne, Australia. I'm originally from Nigeria, and I got to Melbourne last year, late November. So just a brief about my story. I was born in Kwara State, which is another state in Nigeria, another central part of Nigeria, close to the capital, Abuja. I spent almost all of my life in my states, for my primary school, secondary school, tertiary education, and I did all of that in the same states. I completed my bachelor's degree in zoology at the University of Ilorin, one of the top 5 universities in Nigeria. So for me, how I get into tech or how I get into IT, I was very lucky. I was very to have a father who also loved technology, who loved tech and IT. So for me, I started learning about computer as very early. I could remember from primary school, from elementary school. Like my father has an office that is very closer to a computer center. So a computer center that is basically training people on how to operate computer. This was back in early 2000s, where computer is not like something very common now. It's just desktop computer. So my father just like dropped me into that place. So I would just, after returning from school and just eat and all that, I would just go to that shop, because the computer center is just like a 2 or 3 office or shop beside my father's office. So that's where I basically spent all of my teens, all of my primary school and towards high school, like that. So I learned a lot during that period. I learned about computer engineering. I could repair computer engineer, but it's something I've done for so long. Software, both the software and the hardware, I learned a lot, graphic designer and all that. So even that period, I also watched this movie, Three Idiots, is a common Indian movie. And with my training in that computer as well as that movie, I was very pumped. Like, oh, I want to go to a career, to have a career in software engineer, like a software developer, a computer engineer. That's my desire then. But to cut the story short, the aspiration changes, or the career aspiration changes along the way, and I have interest in pursuing medicine. But when I got into university, I was not over medicine. I was over as zoology, and that's how I I started my journey in zoology, and I'm specialized in the parasitology, which is an area of zoology. And at this time, also the founder and CEO of South Africa. So South Africa is an edtech platform that is changing the learning experience, providing learning solution to secondary school students in Africa. All my experience in tech, So I'm very so passionate about education, so passionate about tech, and so passionate about healthcare and medicine as well. And not to forget, I'm also doing my master's degree, master by research in the Ahmed University in biomedical sciences. So let me talk a little more about South Africa. So just a brief background about this problem we are solving. So Africa is so full of talent. Africa is going to be to have the largest and youngest population of youth in 2050 based on projection. But talent development across these years, across this previous year, by government efforts, by individuals, by private companies, and all others, different NGOs, like is majorly targeted towards, let's say, the college age group, like these people in universities, people who are graduates. They are the one that have this access to more upskilling initiative. But we are more or less attention to these secondary age students. That is, we are not giving them, we are not building that talent from that early on. So this is where South Africa comes in. Compounding to this problem is also the lack of limited English proficiency faced by students in Africa, especially those in remote environment, those in underserved community. So we at South Africa, we are providing a learning solution, making use of technology, of course, in native languages to students, so that to future-proof these students right from early stage. When students can have access to their school subject in their native language, that is, they can learn biology, they can learn chemistry, physics, all these subjects in their own home language, which we are starting with my home country, Nigeria. We plan of covering like 3 major languages in Nigeria. At the same time, it also offers upskilling upskilling class or upskilling schools within our solution, and that's cater for in-demand skills. Talk of top tech skill like programming, software, and we offer these to students based on their own level to prepare the student for a career and a readiness into the job market. And all these will also learn that in their native language. Like myself, when I finished high school, I wanted to jump into software engineer to start learning about coding, programming, but I soon left that, not because I'm not enjoying it, but I'm having issue with the English, because I'm listening to foreign instructors, and the English, they could be more faster, or I will not get what they are really saying. And fast forward to now, 8 years after, we still don't have the local relevant content that we can help these kids, to help them navigate their careers and build a very strong foundation from very early age. So this problem we are solving in South Africa, and we're making use of technology, of course, and we also plan of integrating AI into our offerings in the futures. So this is a brief about myself. Mohammed, and I'm currently based in Melbourne, Australia, as well as a student at the Ahmed University. Thank you.
Wow, what a journey you've had, Mohammed. Wow, you were very, very lucky to have a father who saw that technology was the future and channeled your energy in that direction. Now, for people who don't really understand the African continent and how big it is and the challenges that people face, getting access to content in local languages is a challenge.
Yep.
How are you envisaging to do this? Give us an example of how many languages and dialects there are in Nigeria alone.
Yeah, thank you, Gertrude. So in Nigeria alone, if I'm not mistaken, we have close to more than 100 languages. But there are 3 major languages that is widely recognized and that's widely spoken. So in Nigeria, we have 3 major languages. We have the Yoruba, which is spoken in the southern part of the country, in the western part of the country, and we have Hausa, which is also common, which is spoken in the northern part of the country, and we also have Igbo, which is spoken in the eastern part of the country. So these are 3 major languages that are spoken. We also have a lot of other languages. We have Nukbe, we have Fude. They are up to close to hundreds, I think. But these 3 languages are those we wanted to cover. These are languages that that have a higher population, or even these are languages that everyone, even regardless of all those other local languages, one or a person will be able to speak one of these languages. So that's why we are covering that. So how we do it is this: instead of a student learning biology, for instance, in school with English, okay, this is biology, a teacher is speaking biology, and everything is just not really getting into the students. we plan of teaching this biology in local dialects. We explain a teacher, we have instructors that's going to explain this in local dialect. Instead of teachers speaking English in school, then we are bringing in an instructor to teach that the same biology in class in local dialects. So with these students who have a great understanding of their own local dialects, this leads to a greater, it helps us to reduce the friction of understanding, leading to a greater retention and as well as academic performance. So students can use our platform as an aid, as an assistant to schooling. So going to school, you can also use our platform. Maybe if he or she doesn't understand anything taught in class, you can just jump on our platform and see the same type of learning he has seen in class on our own platform. But our goal, like the future goal, is to have South Africa to be a first virtual high school in Africa. That is, students can decide to, okay, I'm not going to school. I don't want to go to, I want to learn from home, as we have seen many virtual universities, open universities, but we don't have that yet for secondary school. And so our goal is to be the first virtual high school in Africa and using our own native language, traditional language. So with that, we also move to other countries. So like Ghana. So the plan is to choose like 2 or 3 languages, the major languages in each country, because we cannot, of course, go over all of the languages based on different reasons. So maybe in Ghana, we have Twi, maybe in South Africa, we have Zulu, we have Swahili in Eastern Africa. So these are the plan of bringing this education to students in their own local dialect.
Now, what are you going to do for those students who don't have access to computers, for example?
Yep.
One of the things we know is that there's villages, there's rural areas that have no electricity, but people tend to have cell phones. Does your platform take that into account to use telephone technology instead?
Yeah, our platform is a mobile-based one. A student does not need a computer to access our platform. It's a mobile application. So all what they need is to download the app and start using it. So that's so simple, just like any other mobile app they already be familiar with. So they don't need a computer to learn on our platform.
That's excellent. Now, you are now in the tech startup world as an African man here in Australia, trying to navigate that space, trying to get financing. What challenges, what experiences have you had so far in the investor space?
Yeah, that's really exciting. I would say that we are lucky. The time we are starting South Africa, or the time I'm starting this startup, because I just got into Australia just 3 months old. Just 3 months getting into Australia. That's where I also started South Africa. I was not like fully ready to start. I just have it in my idea book. Any idea that comes to my mind about startup ideas, business, I just put it down. So South Africa is what I'm really passionate about at that moment. So I learned about RMIT. Like my school has an entrepreneurship program that supports funders, student funders. So I learned about that program just some weeks to the deadline. Then I applied to this program. It's a 12-week accelerator program with several rounds of application. But at the end, we are able to secure 20K in funding. And this is what we are using to build the foundation, all the funding we are using to fund the startup platform for now. So the goal is we are not really going to the funding space, like securely looking forward to investors, but we hope that we could translate the startup into something great with this funding we have. So we are really not passionate about funding. We wanted to like bootstrap the company to have a product market fit, to ensure that our solution is really what the market is so excited about it before we start running after investor for funding.
That's excellent. So you're bootstrapping it up until now.
Yep.
Fantastic. Now, studying at RMIT, what were the main things that you got out of the course that have really helped you, get back on your feet and get this project off the ground?
I'm still a student, so I'm still a student. I'm not like completed my master's program, so which I'll be completing next year. It's a 2-year program, and I started last year September, so it's going to end in next year September as well. So I think For me, I think my school has been I'm very lucky with the school I been. They are both sponsoring my startup. Let me say sponsoring my startup and sponsoring my studies at the same time. I'm in a full scholarship, and at the same time, the first funding we've had so far, support we've had so far is all also coming from my school. So that's the entrepreneurship part of my school, which I call our Meti Activator. They are the one that provide us our first funding, which is non-equity. They gave us almost like 23K funding with no capital, they don't have any ownership in the company. So a lot of other support, ongoing support, having a good network and access to much resources. So my schools has been, let me say, my school is the funder, is the funding. They are the one funding both my studies and my startup at this moment.
That's fantastic. Now, explain to those people who don't know much about the startup world
Yep.
why it's important for you to hold on to your equity, for example, why you shouldn't give away too much equity and the whole journey along creating a business.
Yeah, I think the startup ecosystem could be very it's full of ups and downs and a lot of news that will come along the way. So, but one of the major advice that I've seen so far given by founders, given by top key players is not to have the equity being diluted so very early. And even if it's possible for a founder not to raise a proceed capital, just bootstrap the company to see that, okay, this company is now on the right track, because there's no point of you looking for funding, and at the end of the day, the startup just fail, which is likely to be the end for the larger percentage of the startup compared to those who succeed. So it is good for us. We want to keep. We were not really passionate about like the funding. My team, I'm so glad. I'm so lucky to have a team that they also have the same passion with me. Not some of my team now. Some of us have been working like 6 months. They don't have salary. So, and we are just passionate that, okay, we want to solve this solution for Africa. We want to build this. And that's what is keeping us going. So I think my team is also another great team that we don't look into the part of looking for funding. So, but for startup, it's very essential to keep the equity safe as much as possible, because as you scale, as a startup scale, there will be need for more funding, more ways. They will need to raise more funding. But when a funder actually raise funding very early and the equity has been diluted, that will create a great force in the future. And at the same time, it's also like ownership. When you start raising funds at a very early stage, you don't have a good valuation. You are not $1 billion or $1 million company. So investors could want to take advantage of that, providing you less funding and having a high equity in the company, which is not really great. So you want to make sure that you have a good traction. Your companies are on a good valuation, that you can able to secure a good funding at lesser equity. So these are things we are considering or have learned so far from other funders, successful funders, and key players in the ecosystem.
Wow, it sounds to me like you're on quite a journey. So let me take you back and go back to the younger you, the young man who left Africa on a quest to come to Australia to study.
Yep.
If there was somebody online listening to this podcast who has a vision to create something like what you've done, based on what life has taught you, what 3 nuggets of wisdom could you share with them? What would you have wanted somebody to tell you before you started this journey?
One is having like a sense of purpose, the purpose of you doing why are you doing why are you going on a journey? Why are you doing what you're doing at present? So I think that's really the first question to ask. So for me, I've been so passionate about education from early age. All of my life is about education, learning, and that's where I've built even all of those businesses I've built, a solo business I've built so in the past are all relating to education stuff. So that's I've go to education, I've gone to education, and I've also like build businesses out of it. So I'm so passionate about seeing people succeed, seeing kids learning, having that enjoyment of learning, particularly in this age we are in, that there's common there's common statement going around education is scam, all these. So kids are not really having the sense of fulfillment of that again. That's purpose. Another thing is having a commitment, because the road is not really going to be smooth. It's going to be very, very, very tough. Like myself here, I I'm like 10 hours, 9 hours or 10 hours ahead of my team. Most of the time I do stay late at night. So if you don't have, if your purpose is not strong enough, the commitment will be low. So having that strong commitment, okay, this is what you wanted to achieve. You won't see that the labor or the what you are putting in, which is not really comfortable for you. So you won't see that as a thing you need to consider. And the last is also to keep praying. So if you are a believer, you also believe in God, and you pray to Him to also guide you along the way.
And now let me teleport you into the future.
Yep.
Your platform is created. You are now 90 years old.
Mm.
If I could take you into the future to have a conversation with a 90-year-old you,
Yep.
this amazing man who created a platform that gave education to children in high school in Nigeria in a very unique way. If you could go and have a conversation with this wise man today,
Mm.
what would you say to him based on how you're living your life right now?
Oh, I think that's that's a tough question, but based on how I'm living my life now, I'll maybe say to that man that you've tried your best, you've contributed impact to the world, to your community positively. I think that would be the first thing I would say to the man. Okay, you've done your own part, and seeing the result out of what we've put forward now, if the result is so fruitful, seeing people, seeing the ecosystem, seeing the community of students who are just eager to learn, eager to try things out, being innovative, and seeing all these results will be a good job that, oh, we have done well, we have done good. So I think that I will tell my 90 years old that you have done your own part, and so you need to start building other young ones to also follow the same path.
So, why is education so important for a human being, do you think?
Yeah, that's necessary. That's the basic of life. Without education, we can't do anything. Without education, we can't do anything. Every part of our lives, every part of steps is all about learning. A mother teaching his kids, or his baby from early age how to breastfeed. It's also about learning. Okay, this is where you should put your mouth into. So everything, all our journey from cradle to death is about learning. So education is so important for us. Without it, we are just in darkness.
Yeah, education is a basic human right. I think
Yep.
every single child should have access to education, and you are certainly working towards making that possible for millions of children to come.
Yep.
What are your parting thoughts for us today?
Yeah. I think I would answer this based on what I've said before. So if there's a young person out there too who wanted to go into this path, is not really an easy one. So we are also, my team and I have not really got into where we wanted to be, but we hope that we're on the right track. And so the first thing is to have that purpose. Why are you doing? Why do you want to build a business? Or it's not everyone should be an entrepreneur. We need people to be in the hospital. We need to be in class. We need people to be a teacher and all that. So, but if you are going into this entrepreneurial part, why you should need to ask yourself, where are you going to eat? So, like myself, I've never worked for any employer for like a year. I've never done that. So I've been very, as a young kid, as a young person, like building business, like building my own business. Just seeing, I love building something, like seeing that, okay, I'm doing something and I'm seeing the result. So at the same time, I also come from a home where both my parents are entrepreneurs, they are business owners. So that could also be part of it. So my party thought is to have that sense of purpose. What do you want to achieve out of it? Because if it's money you are looking forward to, it might be good to just go to as an employer to find a job. But if it's you want to make an impact in the world, you want to make a positive impact in the world, and you want to see that manifest in front of your eyes, so you have to put in more commitment, you have to put in more grit, you have to be dedicated to it. This is going to be a rough part. You can start a business, and down the line, a year you haven't even paid yourself a single payout, and you are paying other members in the team. That could even be a trouble itself, that, oh, I'm paying other members and myself, I'm not collecting a salary. So you have to be committed, you have to be dedicated to, okay, let's keep pushing this until we see that result.
I love that. Mohammad, thank you so much for coming online today and sharing your story with us. It's very, very inspiring to see a young man who's not only finished his degree, but as you're finishing your degree, you're starting a business, which means you're going to be instantly employed when you leave. Very, very fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you, Getsu, for inviting me. I'm so glad to join you today.
It's a pleasure. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Diversity Connector is connecting us with some fascinating people from all over the world who are walking in different walks of life, forging in spaces where they are minorities, but still going ahead and being successful. So come back again tomorrow when I interview another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open,